You're fired. Get out!
They mocked me, called me just the assistant. They fired me, in front of the whole office. But what didn't they know? I owned the company, and I let them fall quietly. My name is Eliza Harper. I'm 33 years old, and 2 months ago, I walked into my own company pretending to be someone else. No one recognized me, which honestly wasn't surprising. I'd been a silent partner in Alteryx Media for 3 years, ever since acquiring controlling shares after buying out my former boss during a messy lawsuit. But instead of taking the CEO title publicly, I stayed in the shadows on purpose. I wanted the company to grow on merit, not my name. But something changed recently. Reports of toxic behavior started flooding my private inbox. Turnover was high. Promising talent was quitting within months. The few good people left sounded burned out and overlooked. And the name that came up the most? Claudia. The current HR director, and someone I trusted when I first joined the company years ago as a junior copywriter. So I did something drastic. I cut my hair short, dyed it dark, removed my online presence, and applied as an intern under a fake identity, Ellie Hayes. No one suspected a thing. And what I witnessed in the first week broke my heart. I was assigned to the PR department, a sleek corner of the 15th floor filled with people who talked about image and brand more than they talked about actual results. Day 1, my manager barely looked at me. Day 2, Claudia asked me to fetch her coffee, which wasn't even part of my fake role. By the end of the first week, I was being called, "Hey, you." But what really got me wasn't the mistreatment. It was the casual cruelty. I watched my coworker Jason take credit for a new client pitch I wrote. I watched Claudia call another intern too plus-sized for client meetings. One of the project leads left me in tears after loudly mocking my slow typing speed in front of a packed conference room. They didn't know who I was. They didn't care. They thought I was just another invisible girl trying to survive corporate hell. But I was watching everything. And I was documenting everyone. By week 3, I had hidden cameras installed in my office badge and recorded enough footage to fill a courtroom. But I wasn't ready yet, because I had just received an invitation to something called the PR Holiday Bash, an office party where the drinks flowed, the masks dropped, and reputations shattered. They called it a fun night out. But for me, it was the beginning of their end. The night of the PR Holiday Bash was everything I expected and worse. Held at a luxury rooftop bar downtown, the party was meant to celebrate another successful year. But underneath the champagne toasts and Instagrammable decorations, the hierarchy was as loud as ever. The executives were upstairs in the VIP lounge, drinking $1,000 whiskey and giving toasts filled with buzzwords like synergy and scalability. Meanwhile, the interns and juniors like Ellie, the identity I was using, were expected to hang back, smile politely, and serve themselves from the cheaper buffet by the kitchen. I stood quietly in a corner, wearing a simple black dress, trying not to make eye contact. I already knew what would happen if I did. Sure enough, it started. Claudia, tipsy and louder than usual, pointed at me while laughing with a group of senior staff. There's that weird intern again. I swear, she looks like she shops at a thrift store in the dark. The others laughed. Then Jason chimed in, the same man who stole my pitch and claimed it as his own just 2 weeks earlier. Don't worry, Claudia. She's probably just here to marry a rich executive. That's the only way a girl like that climbs. My cheeks burned. Not with embarrassment, but with rage. They didn't just ignore people beneath them, they actively humiliated them. I stood there, frozen, gripping my phone tightly in one hand, recording every word. The audio was crystal clear. Then came the moment that sealed their fate. Another woman, Haley, a junior designer, was pushed to tears when Claudia called her outfit desperate and her portfolio mediocre at best. She ran to the restroom. I followed. Inside, I comforted her. She told me it wasn't the first time Claudia had singled her out. Claudia had blocked 2 of her promotions and taken credit for her work more than once. Haley whispered, "This company eats people alive. I don't know why I thought I could make it here." And I said nothing. Because I couldn't, not yet. But in that moment, I made a decision. This wouldn't just be a quiet exit. It wouldn't just be a termination letter or a company-wide memo. It would be a reckoning. By the end of the night, I had footage of Claudia is bullying multiple interns, Jason making sexist remarks about female employees, a senior staffer joking about firing someone over Slack emojis, and a VP flirting inappropriately with someone half his age on camera. But they weren't scared. They were drunk on power. They still thought I was nobody. They had no idea the owner of the company had just recorded their downfall in high definition. The Monday after the holiday party, the entire office buzzed with hangovers and half-remembered moments. The whispers had already begun. Haley hadn't come in. Claudia claimed she was probably just being dramatic. Jason laughed and called her a snowflake. I walked in quietly. Same thrifted blazer. Same messy bun. Same ignored presence. Only now, I had a plan. Around noon, I requested a meeting with the executive board. Claudia smirked when she saw my name on the calendar request. Bold of the intern to think she gets FaceTime with execs. I said nothing. The meeting was set for 3 p.m. in the 12th floor conference room, the glass one overlooking the city skyline. They loved holding meetings there. It made them feel powerful. As I stepped into the room, every executive, from the CFO to the HR director, was already seated, phones in hand, barely glancing at me. Claudia didn't even sit up straight. Jason leaned back in his chair, chewing gum. "You've got 10 minutes, he said. Make it quick." I nodded, then opened the folder I brought with me and slid a series of documents across the table. The CFO picked one up, glanced at it, and froze. It was a copy of the company's incorporation papers, signed by me. Another page, the original shareholder list. My name, not as Ellie the intern, but Elizabeth Monroe, founder and 78% owner. Jason snorted. "What is this, some kind of prank?" So I opened my tablet and tapped play. The audio from the party began to echo through the room. Claudia's cruel laughter. Jason's sexist remarks. The VP's drunken flirting. All of it crisp, time-stamped, legally obtained. Silence. Then I spoke for real, for the first time. I created this company 5 years ago. And I stepped away last year after a health scare to see who this team would become without my presence. So I came back undercover to find out. I turned toward Claudia. "You humiliated employees, took credit for work you didn't do, and made at least 3 team members cry." Then Jason. "You stole pitches, mocked women, and used your position to intimidate staff." Finally, I looked at all of them. You didn't just create a toxic culture, you thrived in it. And now, that ends. The room was stone still. No one breathed. Then the door opened and my lawyer walked in. She handed everyone a sealed envelope. Termination letters. NDAs. Legal instructions. 3 of them tried to speak. 1 begged. But I just stood. "Thank you for showing me who you are. Now let me show you what I built without you." I walked out as they sat in stunned silence, their careers unraveling behind them. And the intern? She was gone. Only the CEO remained. After I walked out of that room, it was like a dam had burst. Within hours, emails were flying, LinkedIn profiles were vanishing, and HR was scrambling to implement new leadership policies. But I didn't micromanage it. That wasn't my style. I let the board handle the mess that they let fester. Because I had bigger plans. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. For the first time, not as an invisible intern, but as the CEO. Security greeted me with a smile and a respectful nod. My nameplate was already on the corner office door. Elizabeth Monroe, founder and CEO. I stood there for a second. It felt surreal. This was the same office Jason used to bar me from entering. The same chair that Claudia used to gloat in when she thought she ran the show. Now, it was mine. I called an all-hands meeting for noon. The entire company gathered in the main hall, whispers and nerves buzzing in the air. Some people looked hopeful, others terrified. No one knew exactly what was coming. I walked up to the mic, paused, then smiled. "Hi, everyone. Some of you know me as Ellie. Some of you knew me as the intern who refilled the coffee machine. But today, I want to reintroduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Monroe. I started this company in my dorm room at 22. I built it with sleepless nights, empty bank accounts, and a vision for something better. I scanned the crowd, eyes wide, jaws slightly open. I took a step back last year to fight through personal health issues. I asked the board to keep it quiet while I recovered. And when I came back, I needed to know the soul of this company still existed. So, I came in as someone no one would notice. I saw a few employees exchange glances, those who had been kind, supportive, who saw me as human, not just a role. I nodded toward them. Some of you showed integrity, kindness, real leadership, without the title. Others, I let the pause linger, treated people like stepping stones. Or worse, like garbage. Those people are no longer with us. Gasps rippled across the room. Then I smiled again. But we're not here to dwell on that. We're here to rebuild. To become the company I always believed we could be together. Applause broke out. First hesitant. Then louder. Some employees had tears in their eyes. Others looked like they were seeing me for the first time. One young designer, Maria, came up after the meeting and whispered, "I knew something was different about you. Thank you for giving us hope again." That meant more than any headline. Because revenge wasn't the goal. Restoration was. But don't get me wrong. Watching the people who crushed others crumble under their weight? That was just a satisfying bonus. A week after the takeover, the dust had mostly settled. The office had a different energy now, lighter, calmer, more respectful. No more whispered insults, no more power games in the break room. People actually smiled again. But not everyone had gone quietly. Jason had sent a dozen emails begging for a chance to explain. Claudia even posted a long-winded LinkedIn post about being a victim of cancel culture and a toxic witch hunt. The comments weren't kind. I never replied. Until the day of our annual company gala. It was a charity event we hosted every year, with cameras, investors, press, and the whole spotlight. Ironically, Jason used to love that night. It made him feel like royalty. So I decided I'd give him a final stage. Just not the one he expected. The theme was rising from the ashes. Very appropriate. I wore a sleek black dress, not flashy, just powerful. Timeless. The kind that said, "I don't have to shout. I am the storm." The event was buzzing when I arrived. Everyone turned. All eyes were on me. Jason was there too. I had let him attend, as a guest, not an employee. His face went pale when he saw me on stage with the mic. I tapped it gently. "Good evening. Tonight, we celebrate resilience, growth, and the power of remembering who we are even when others try to bury us." I looked at Jason. I was buried, but I was a seed. The room went silent. Some of you know me as Elizabeth Monroe. What you may not know is that I spent the last year being told I was too weak, too soft, too emotional to lead. By people who never built a single brick of what I created. A few gasps. A few awkward glances. And yet, here we are. I didn't call them out by name. I didn't have to. The press picked up the speech. Investors called the next morning to congratulate me. Employees sent messages saying it was the most inspired they'd felt in years. Jason? He tried starting his consultancy. It flopped in under 6 months. Claudia? Let's just say no one's rushing to hire a woman known for screaming at interns and sabotaging founders. But I didn't stalk their failure. I had better things to do. My company was thriving again. My employees were thriving. I was thriving. And in the end, the sweetest revenge wasn't firing them. It was becoming the version of myself they tried to break and making them watch. Because they wanted to leave me powerless. Instead, I gave them the best lesson of their lives. Never underestimate the quiet girl in the back room. She might just own the building.